we the people of India is inferring towards a direct democracy. See, we the people of India is inferring toward direct democracy. We the people of India is inferring towards a popular democracy. Popular democracy means we the people of India is indicating that people are sovereign. And here it is appropriate to remind you the idea of Machiavelli when he said that vox populi is a vox God. The voice of people is a voice of God. So the we people, it means, look, our constitution was shaped by we the people. Therefore, people, power lies in the people. So people are sovereign. People are sovereign. It is a popular democracy. It is a direct democracy because the term we the people of India is very important. And that is a way what Rousseau want to understand democracy. So here our constitution, when our constitution refer the we the people, our spirit is more similar to Rousseau, but our founding fathers were very much aware about the pragmatic problem of our nation. And therefore, my dear friend, I want to remind the fact that Platonic Republic is very much ideal. Gandhian Ramraj is very much ideal. But for running a nation, we need some pragmatic thought. Because Marxist communism is ideal. But can you remember that how we can run a nation on the basis of a lofty romanticism? And probably this was the reason. And that is a point. We are not supposed to criticize the Constituent Assembly. Although there were few people who were very much critical toward the Constituent Assembly, toward the constitution making, I will tell about them too. But by and large, if you look at the first sitting of Constituent Assembly that was held in 9th December 1946, and how we made our Constituent Assembly, it was not we the people. So spirit was that, but somehow we adopted a pragmatic approach. And what pragmatic approach means? See, the Constituent Assembly was a representative body. And that was constituted on the basis of indirect election. It was not direct election because Constituent Assembly was based on it was a representative body. So representative body means it was not a body of a people. And can you imagine how if there was a population 35 crore and you can count the number of electorate about 17 to 20 crore. So is it feasible that all the 17 crore will sit together and will frame a constitution? Therefore, it was a representative body, and that representative body was chosen on the basis of indirect elections. Indirect election means just like how the member of Rajya Sabha, Council of State, are elected as of now. The same method was adopted for electing the Constituent Assembly. Similarly, like how we make a Council of State today, the same method we have preferred for making a Constituent Assembly. And therefore, all the legislative assemblies, according to Government of India 1935, the legislative assembly, see, the members of state legislative assemblies, they have chosen, see, members of legislative assembly, they have chosen the member of the Constituent Assembly. Therefore, it was not a direct election. It means people directly was not participating in the election of the members of the Constituent Assembly. It was very clear. Therefore, the election of Constituent Assembly was not held on the pattern of election of Lok Sabha. Because as of now, it is we the people who are electing the Lok Sabha. But how it is a Lok Sabha means House of People. And here Rajya Sabha, Council of State. Council of State is elected by, see, the elected members of legislative assemblies, state legislative assemblies. And what was the proportion? Because population of various legislative assembly was different. Therefore, it was decided that one state legislative assembly will send a member according to 1 million population. It means a state which is having 1 million population, one representative of that state will participate in the Constituent Assembly. The state which is having the 2 million population, they will send 2 representative, 3 million population, 3 representative, see, so on and so forth. So this was the method. This was the method. And here, because after independence, there were various princely states too. Sorry, princely states means where elected legislative assemblies were not held. And princely states means that state were not under the direct control of British administration, although the British administration had the sovereign control over that state. But they were free in their internal administration, and therefore princely states never set up the representative body like state legislative assemblies. And therefore the question arises that how the nomination of princely state will be ensured in the Constituent Assembly. Then it was decided that the member of a princely state shall be nominated. The representative of the princely state shall be nominated. So in that way, Constituent Assembly was partially or partly a representative body, and a Constituent Assembly was partly elected body too. Elected body too. Although we can also criticize this method of election, and probably somebody, that is reason somebody criticized that how the nominated members, it means they were not elected. And second point, the members who elected the members of Constituent Assembly, they were the elected members of state legislative assembly. But according to Government of India Act 1935, at that time only approximately 28% of the population were given the right to vote. It means the state legislative assemblies were representative almost 1/3 of India. Almost 1/3 of India. So we can claim that, we can criticize that how it was a representative body, whether that assembly resemble the entire India. But again, I am saying that this kind of criticism will never asked in examination, and these kind of criticism are not fair. Because see, during national movement, only few leaders were representing the entire India. So can we say that how I can accept the round table conference because some leader of Congress were participating in the round table conference? So these are not logical justification. And time and again, see, whosoever participating in the national movement, they were representing the will of India, the wish of India. And see, at that time, still you know that holding elections in India is most toughest task anywhere in the world. Because look the demography of India, and can you imagine when India became independent? Economically, we are not powerful enough. Politically, there was a kind of a traumatic experience because Britishers always try to promote the policy of divide and rule. At the same time, Britishers always said that Indians are not able to frame the constitution. And that was a debate which was going on from Simon Commission onwards. And that is the reason Motilal Nehru drafted a constitution of India. Because Britishers says that Indians are unable to draft the constitution by their own. But these are the statements which proved wrong. And in that context, this Constituent Assembly was sitting, and therefore we have adopted the best pragmatic method which was available at that time. Therefore, this representative body represented the entire wish of India, entire the wishes of India, and moreover the goal and objectives of Indians. Therefore, there is no reason to unnecessarily criticize the formation of Constituent Assembly, and that is the way if you look the framing of the constitution anywhere in the world, Probably this was the method which was applied. And India was not a developed nation. India was not a developed nation like US and Britain. We have to always make a distinction between the democracy in the West and democracy in India. See, what happens in Europe and US? First, there was social development, economic development, and thereafter, democracy arrived. But as far as the Indian question is that it is a just opposite. India first became a democracy, and then it started the social economic development. It is unfair to compare India with the other Western nation. So therefore, we the people of India that was represented by the Constituent Assembly, and why these criticisms are not fair. Why these criticisms are not fair? Here we can give another example. See, Grenville Austin says that Congress, because during India's national movement, Congress was the largest political force. And Grenville Austin says that if you look the nature of Constituent Assembly, because we want to understand what does it mean we the people of India. And if we want to understand the Constituent Assembly, it is better to understand the members of the Constituent Assembly. And most of the members of Constituent Assembly that was obviously from Congress. Therefore, we can say that Constituent Assembly was a Congress and Congress was the Constituent Assembly. So therefore, we can derive the equation that Constituent Assembly is equal to Congress. Congress was not a party, but it represented the microcosm of India. It was represented the microcosm of India. See, it was not a Congress. It was a little India. It was not Congress. It was small India. And why it was small India? Because Congress represented the each and every region, each and every religion. Therefore, the Govind Ballabh Pant was a member of Congress from North India. Rajgopalachari was a member of Congress from South India. Although later Rajgopalachari left the Congress and he set up his own rightist party, that is a Swatantra party. But earlier Rajgopalachari, it means he was and it's a very well known fact that Mahatma Gandhi was from Gujarat, he was a part of Congress. Y.B. Chauhan from Maharashtra, he was a part of Congress. Boru Doloi from Assam, he was a part of Congress. Therefore, and Congress, a stalwart of OBC leader, SC/ST leader, all were the member of Congress. Chaudhry Charan Singh, a stalwart of OBC, other backward class leader, he was a part of Congress. Jagjeevan Ram, most prominent leader of Congress after Dr. V.R. Ambedkar, and he was a member of Congress. Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, he was a member of Congress. And even there was a important women representation in the Constituent Assembly in form of Rajkumari Amrit Kaur, Sansa Mehta. Therefore, we cannot say that. So Congress was like an umbrella party. Congress was like a rainbow coalition. What Rajni Kothari later said that because we cannot understand Congress like the Congress of today. Because as of now, Congress of today is very much different of 1947. Because we have to remember the fact that how Congress became a very strong national force. Because Congress represented the each and every part of society, each and every region of society, and moreover, each and every ideology. If we are saying that Congress was a microcosm of India, so microcosm of India means Congress represent each and every region, Congress represent each and every caste and religion, and moreover, Congress present the kind of ideology, the various ideological perspective too. Why ideological? Because it is said that Rajendra Prasad was comparatively Rajendra Prasad, P.D. Tandon. They were comparatively conservative. Nehru was a secular. Therefore, even various categories of the people were present in Congress. And in that way, when we say that Constituent Assembly was a Congress and Congress was a Constituent Assembly, therefore it is It is a complementary to we the people of India rather than against the concept of we the people of India. And moreover, if you look in the Constituent Assembly, some members, although some party were not part of the Congress Constituent Assembly, and some members who were not part of Congress but were given due representation in the Constituent Assembly. And it means if you want to remember the member of Constituent Assembly who were not the members of Congress, the non-Congress members of the Constituent Assembly were like most prominent. It was B.R. Ambedkar, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, and M.R. Jayakar. He was a member of Hindu Mahasabha. M.R. Jayakar, Shyama Prasad Mukherjee. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee. So it means they are the few examples who were presented in the Constituent Assembly, although they were not part of the Congress. They were not part of the Congress. And same time, it is important to be noted that the Constituent Assembly so comprises the entire India. So it is more appropriate to say that this is the meaning of we the people of India.